Okay, welcome JT to your next cello lesson. I'm doing really well and moving along with this. So last time we had talked about a lot of the basic setup. We had introduced the 2-octave D scale, how to hold the bow, parts of the cello, and finger positions like that. Okay, so today we're going to be going over and reviewing the D major scale 2 octaves, right? So last time I had mentioned to you that we always want the finger pattern 1, extended 2, and 4, right? And you always want to keep in mind, as a violist or as a violinist, is that our hand frame is a lot smaller on that instrument. So on the cello or even bass, you want to keep a much bigger hand frame, because so often we think that when we're playing, we have the correct fingering, but if it's not extended enough, it's going to turn out flat. So you really have to hear for that. Aural skills is another way to really develop good ear training and intonation with the cello, okay? So cool, let's find our D on first finger, right? Great, and we know the pattern, 1, 2, 4, shift, 1, 2, 4, right? And just something to keep in mind before we keep going with the scale. When you go to the next string, we don't want to shift back, but we kind of want to reach back for the next 2, okay? That goes for every string crossing from C to G to C to G to D to A, right? So I'm going to reach back, see how my first finger, index finger kind of reaches back. My whole hand moves backward, right? And that's where I have the close 1 and 2, okay? So keep that in mind, and then we want the opposite, to shift upward in position as we go down on the strings. Okay? Cool. So let's do half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Good shift. Keep going. Reach back. Not too bad. On the way up, that was very good. On the way down, we did get a little flat. What I noticed is that for whatever reason, you did do a 4-3-1. That's not ideal. I don't know. I was on the C string there. So really remember to use a 4-2-1 and really extend back, because what's happening is that you either ended up sharp or flat on the D scale coming on the way back down on the last string, because you either didn't reach down far enough or shift far enough. So it kind of moved it a half step off, right? And then the very important thing on the top string was you had your A, and then really extend that 3 for that whole step. Up, up. Really have a close 3 and 4 right there, okay? Okay, very good. Other than that, it was pretty good. So work on that. Your shift on the way up was very good. Just really reach back. Really have the hand frame reach back when you're going back down on the scale, okay? Very good. Cool. So let's go over the C major scale. This one's a lot easier. You don't have to shift. So we've done first position starting on first finger. Now, obviously, with the C string, we'll be starting on an open string, right? So this is where the finger pattern's a little bit different. Typically, you're going to have open, 1, 3, 4, right? Because you have your open, you have your whole step, you have another whole step, here's your half step, right? and the pattern continues just like on any other string instrument. It's pretty consistent. So let's just try quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the C major scale, and then we'll do for the first octave, and then we'll do the second octave. Okay?
All right.
So let's do 1 octave. Ready? Great. Cool. Now we're going to go over to the next string, and the finger pattern is going to get a little bit different. And you think to yourself, so you tell me, actually I'm going to ask you, what finger pattern do you think we're going to have? So we ended on our 4th finger, right? And that's where C is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next string over is going to be an open D, right? Then we have first finger on E. What's coming next? An extended 2, a close 2.
Close to.
Right, because we have that half step, just like what we did with the D major scale. We have now that pattern again. In first position now, we have the 1, 2, 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make the 1 and 2 close, and we want a 4 nice and extended like that, right? Good. Cool. And then you go over to the A string. You have A, B, and then C on the close 2 on the top, right? Great. Cool, and so it's consistent, the finger pattern is consistent on the D and the A string, right? That close 1 and 2, and then the open 1, 3, 4 on the C and G string, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's try that out. Let's try a C major scale, 2 octaves, up and down, ready? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Sounds very good. So keep that up. Keep in mind the finger patterns for the 2 octave scale, starting on first finger for D, and then the open strings, right? So it's pretty consistent. If you wanted to do a 1 octave G scale, right, that would be the same finger pattern, right? Cool. Okay. So let's take a look at your all for strings piece. So you have 2. You have Brother John, and then you have the symphony theme from Haydn. So let's take a look at that, and that's dealing with your second position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's really great about that is that it kind of ties into the finger patterns we were talking about with a first finger, close 2, and a 4th finger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at, let's see. Okay, so we have, okay. So we have, so on Brother John, we have the notes D, so open D, E, F sharp on 3rd, right? D, E, first finger, right? Open D. Now, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th measure, right? We go, we have F sharp, G, and A, right? Now, we're doing this, of course, in second position. So where would we want to shift?
1 on the F sharp.
Right, so we want to go from that open D. So let's try that. Let's try a little bit of throwing the dart or target practice here. You want to do open, right? Open D and then F sharp on 3rd. And then first finger, right? So let's give that a try. Let's do an open 3 and then an open 1, all right?
Okay.
Great. Sorry, I was a little bit off. Cool. So keeping that in mind, that's how we're going to kind of get into position, right? So you know it's a finger replacement, right? Great. So when we get there, we are going to play what type of finger pattern here, right? We have the F sharp, G, and A.
1, 2, 4.
Great, right? Because we have that half step and then we have the whole step. Great. Cool, so let's give that a try. Just one thing to note, I did forget before. So whenever you are shifting up into position or higher up on the fingerboard, you're going to find it easier for your hand to do a lot of the work if you move your elbow around like this, okay? So keep in mind, because if it's like this, then we're going to have a little bit of trouble and it's going to cause tension. So really bring your elbow up and around like that, okay? Cool, so let's try. You know what? I think we can go for the whole thing because the rest of it you would be doing in first position. And let's take a moderate tempo, okay? So 1, 2, ready, go. Back with first. Great. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the music, messed up a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at the Haydn symphony theme, and we're going to pretty much just do the first line because the second line just repeats itself again. So once again, same concept here. We are shifting on the F sharp, and as you can see, you have that little grace E note there. That's going to tell you where to really kind of slide into it. Not too much, you don't want to glitz, but you want to be nice and careful. You don't want to have a jump, right? Cool, so let's try that, and then of course, at measure 5, we're back in first position, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so let's give that a try, ready? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I was pretending as if that was the end. My mistake. But good. So we got basically the idea of it, and that was good that you went back to, you shifted back properly to the first finger on B on the A string for that first position. Very good. So that's pretty much it for today. So a few things to keep in mind just to review. When you are moving up the scale for the D major or shifting into octaves, you want to do target practice, throwing the dart. So you want to practice. You have your F sharp, D, E, F sharp. Your fourth finger, then for the G. Right, you just want to practice going in between those two notes. For the scale going up, you reach back. Great. So make sure that 1 and 2 are really close. Same applies to the C major scale, only you're not shifting there. And basically the same applies to those two songs. So other than that, very good job today. Thank you. Good work.